Hi, my name is Darren, and this is our son, Isaac. Isaac was born in 2012, but sadly passed away 6 days later. You'll see he's got a strange little suit on. This was because, unfortunately, we suffered a placental abruption at his birth. Sadly, the hospital where he was born at, they delayed his delivery, and as a result, he suffered catastrophic brain damage. We were transferred to St Thomas's Hospital, where he lived his life. As I say, he was 6 days old when he passed away, and the hospital, St Thomas's, that we were sent to, were superb at caring for us and caring for Isaac. They gave us the 6 days with him. If it wasn't for the care and treatment that they gave, without doubt there would have been, we wouldn't have had the time we had with him and made the memories we made. It's obviously quite a difficult story, even though it was 7 years ago it happened, but it's important to see how well they treated us and how they treated Isaac, and also what they did during those 6 days. They constantly kept us updated. We were allowed to be with Isaac whenever we needed to be. They made the time as special as possible, which it sounds a bit strange because of the circumstances, but as the days progressed and we knew that the chances were he wasn't going to survive, they helped us to make memories. We had him christened. We had a little service where they cleared part of the intensive care NICU unit to allow that to happen. One of the nurses was there with us taking photos so that we had some family photos. And on the day that he passed away, we knew that was the day that his life support was going to be withdrawn. There'd been a lot of discussions with the consultants, with the medical team. They'd been very good at keeping us fully up to date, and that helped. We were given a lot of alone time on that day, as a family with Isaac, to help make memories, and that's really important. And even once he had passed away, there was further memories made. Things like handprints, footprints were taken, so that we have those permanently. It sounds a bit strange. We got to bathe him. It's the first time we got to hold him properly with no wires. Things like that are really important, to help the process that you go through once you lose a child. It's so hard and comes so unexpected that those sort of little things really help in the long term. You don't feel it helps at the time, but when you reflect back over the years, little things like that do help, and they are memories that do stay with you. In terms of my family now, so Isaac, as I said, was born in 2012 and then passed away 6 days later. He'd been a very much wanted baby, not that any baby isn't, but he'd been an IVF baby as well, after a number of rounds. So we always feared that we would never be able to have another child. Luckily for us, 2 years later, with the aid of a fantastic fertility team, we had a little girl called Isla, who is now 6 years old. And she's our everything. She knows all about Isaac. She knows of him as her older brother. She knows that he's up in the sky watching over her, and she also helps us with what we now do in Isaac's memory. So we wanted to give back to the hospital where Isaac was cared for and where Isaac lived his life. So we started doing charity work for the Evelina Children's Hospital, which was linked to the NICU unit that we were using at St Thomas's. And 7 years on, we're now ambassadors at the hospital. We do a lot of fundraising work for them. We do talks with healthcare professionals there through the counselling team to give people an idea of what it's like to go through, as parents, the death of a child. And we do a lot of fundraising for them. We're also very honoured that we have a little plaque at the Evelina Hospital in Isaac's memory. We also run a Facebook group called Running for Isaac, which you're more than welcome to join. That's used for us to talk about different challenges that are ongoing, but also just raise awareness about the massive taboo that still exists around baby death. I'll be honest, when we lost Isaac, it was not talked about. We lost friends because people don't like to talk about the fact that a child has passed away. It's a real taboo subject. So we also try to talk as publicly and openly about Isaac as possible, so that everyone can start to understand a little bit more about what it's like. We run a blog as well, which we update just maybe 2 or 3 times a year, to try to explain what it's like to go through what we went through, and also to raise awareness of placental abruptions, which is the fundamental reason that Isaac was in a difficult situation to start with, was the fact that we'd had a placental abruption. We didn't know the seriousness of it. Sadly, the hospital he was born at didn't treat it as seriously as it should have been either, which is why we ended up in the situation of having to go to St Thomas's. So we like to try and raise awareness of that as well, and just help out as much as we can, because it is such a taboo subject, and it shouldn't be. Isaac was our son, and to us that's important. He's a part of our family, and just because he's died, doesn't mean he shouldn't be talked about. Bereavement care to us isn't just one thing, it's a whole package. Because our son, when he was transferred to the NICU unit, we knew that things weren't looking good. In reality, to an extent, for us, bereavement care, looking back, had started then. The constant communication with our consultants, with the nurses, keeping us fully up to date, telling us things such as, although we have some say and some choices in the treatment, if they feel that Isaac was going to be in pain, then they would need to take certain actions. The communication was key, and that meant that then set up the bereavement care for the long term, because while Isaac was still alive, he started to get the relationship with the team, and after his death, that relationship then continued. We were taken back to the hospital to sit with our consultant, Isaac's consultant, and he would talk us through everything. In our personal case, it was at that stage it also became clear that there were other issues that had happened at his birth, because at the time, it's a complete shock as to what's going on. Your head's completely not with it at all. So we started to receive bereavement care at that stage as well, in terms of, listen, there's something more going on here that may need investigating, and it could have an impact on you over months to come. And then the bereavement care continues. We were seen within, I think we were contacted 6 weeks later for the option of counselling. And if I'm honest, that counselling then continued for probably 3 to 4 years. Initially every week, then fortnightly, and then just occasionally as necessary. It's really important. Counselling to us was not something we'd ever considered, but bereavement counselling and the bereavement support that we received there was absolutely vital from pulling us from a very dark place. The bereavement counselling even helped as far as when luckily we fell pregnant a couple of years later. They were there to support us through that, because obviously it causes a lot of psychologically it messes with your head quite a lot. So it was really important that bereavement care continued. And even today, it's 2020 now. Isaac passed away in 2012, and that care still continues. We still get an option to go to a special service run by the Evelina Children's Hospital, which is the children's hospital linked to St Thomas's, where we have 2 services a year for bereaved families of children. And it's always a really emotional time, and it's very difficult, but it's really important. And it gives you the opportunity while you're there to see the bereavement counsellors that helped you through it. You get to see the chaplains that were involved, and it's an overall package going even from before your child has died, if they know that there's a likelihood they may die, all the way through. And it is so vital to have that full package available to help psychologically parents deal with something that comes out the blue, that they don't expect, and that they have to try and work out how they're going to get through each single day.